Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
All right, I think we're going. Well, welcome. This is my first podcast. I'll be honest, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So this is kind of going to be on a fly thing. The name right now is Jello Jiggling. I thought it was cool, kind of an homage to Chick Hearn, the little legend. But I figured there'd be no better time to start this than right after the NBA trade deadline, where the Lakers did absolutely nothing. For the last, I don't know what, 2 months, it's been nonstop rumors about the Lakers and their pursuit of DeJounte Murray of the Atlanta Hawks, with them dangling D'Angelo Russell and draft pick and Jalen Hood Schifino as their trade package that they wanted to convince Atlanta to take, but Atlanta was just not biting. So we went in today with having no idea what was going on. DeJounte Murray was pulled, I think, last night for some injury concern or the precautions, but it was basically BS in case he got traded. They didn't want to get him to get injured. And then D'Lo had a tune-up procedure, whatever the hell that was. There's no details put on that. So he was not participating in practice, I believe, which was basically the same thing. Like, hey, we might trade him, so we're going to hold him back and not risk any kind of injury to screw up any trades that might happen. So, yeah, I would say coming in, I was pretty optimistic that they were going to make a deal. And don't mind the dogs in the background because someone just got here and they're going to go nuts. So hopefully that you guys don't hear that or it's tuned out. Like I said, this is all new to me. So this is trial run. This is me just trying to figure out everything. I was picking the brain of my Lakers Nation colleague Trevor Lane last night for about an hour about what to do, how to do it, and and he gave me all these pointers. So this is going to be a learning experience, and ironically enough, I'm on my way to Mexico tomorrow morning, Cancun. So 123 Cancun, out with the fam for a week. So I won't hear that for a week. But I'll be back in the mix, trying to make this a regular thing 2 times a week with Believe now for a year. So got to make the best of it. Hopefully I can figure out how to tune that out. If you guys can even hear that. 3 dogs going nuts. I think my mother just arrived to drop some stuff off. So anyway, back to it. Trade deadline. I mean, most of us, like you saw some of my colleagues on Twitter today, were like, no deal is better than a bad deal. And I agree with that. I think if at this point in time with the Lakers, there was no like swing for the fences deal. DeJounte's not going to get you that much closer. In fact, he might be exactly the same thing as D'Lo, just maybe a little bit better defensively. And you don't really know what his ceiling is yet, at least not in LA. So I didn't think they made any mistakes. I mean, I would have bet that they would make 1 or 2 small moves. And then if they had a chance, to swing for the fences with somebody who became available, who they didn't know was available, then yeah, go for it. Do it. I mean, obviously you don't want to give up too many assets, but I think with the uncertainty of LeBron's future in LA and you don't really know if they can contend with the teams in the West right now. Makes it difficult. Man, I picked the best time to do this. So with that said, I don't think they made bad moves. No moves was a good move. But at the same time, I don't think the Lakers would have been able to contend regardless. I think the West is too good this year. It's better than last year. I mean, if you think about it, the Lakers got kind of lucky last year. They hit a team in Memphis with the John Morant, who was hurt. and a Memphis team that was not a second seed. I mean, they were not what you should be at a second seed. And then they hit Golden State, who arguably are done as a juggernaut in the West now. That was their last gasp, and the Lakers got the best of them. So, and then they hit the real team in the West Finals, and they got swept, justifiably so. I mean, the Nuggets at that time were the best team in the league, and they might still be the best team in the league. I mean, I think there's a lot more contention now. Like, I mean, there's Boston, OKC, Minnesota, but probably the best all around team or the best team, like where you have the perfect mix of a star, a complementary star, and role players that all fit in their role. That's Denver, right? And I think Boston's just behind them, if not equal. I mean, that would be my final prediction. Would be Denver and Boston. I'd probably give the edge to Boston just for because I think Boston kind of folds when it gets a little when the lights are the brightest, and Denver's proven that they don't. So anyway, as for the deadline, I mean it's disappointing because you're the Lakers and you're one of the most successful teams in NBA history, if not professional sports in the world. That you kind of you got to appease your fan base, and your fan base always wants a move, even if it's not spectacular. They want something get done to make it look like they're contending, because that's what Jeannie Buss says all the time. They're always going after championships, even though that's kind of like a PR kind of line. But I think this shifts into my next topic, which is LeBron and his future. But it could be an era shift here. I mean, it's been done to death. LeBron's what, 38, 39. Reaching the tail end of his career, even though he still plays at a high level, and probably will for maybe even 5 years, who knows. But I think he's hit his ceiling in LA in terms of chances to compete. And then, there's always rumors flying around about the Lakers and who they might be getting put next to AD and LeBron, but it never works. It never seems, to come to fruition. So I'm tired of kind of hearing that narrative and believing it. And I kind of gave up on that a couple of years ago, but it's just been beaten to death now. And I think LeBron's kind of, he's kind of giving you tips and hints as to what he wants to do. I mean, that hourglass emoji, was a big kind of, my time's running out here. Or, you could go any different way. You go, I want Darvin out. His time's done. My time with the Lakers is done. Maybe he's even thinking about retirement, which I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. That whole thing was a fiasco last year. But he does this stuff on purpose. And in fact, he didn't even want to address it when the reporters were asking him about it. It's a big red flag. Like, come on. And I heard that the Lakers hadn't talked to him about his future. Also, I don't believe that. Come on. That's just good business to know what's coming down the pipe, especially only a few months away. LeBron has till June 29th, which is my birthday, by the way, to make a decision, right? And I think he'll go all the way up to that deadline before he makes it public. But I think he's already got his mind made up. I think he's probably going to opt out and explore his options, see where his kids where Bronny might go, and go from there. But as for the trade deadline, they weren't getting substantially better today, so I wouldn't call it a loss. I wouldn't call it a dud per se. I would just say it's just uneventful. It was, they didn't do anything to jeopardize their future, which is great because the future is up in the air. And, D'Lo's still got some time to prove his worth to this team and sign a long-term deal in the summer if he can ball out for the rest of the season, which is a big question mark because like I said on the Lakers Nation pod with Trevor, if he he comes out and he goes like 1 for 12 tonight against Denver, people are going to rip him apart. And that's kind of going to be the way it's going to be for him for the rest of the way, since they didn't make a move. Every move that he makes on the floor is going to be judged and ripped apart and criticized to death. Because it'll always be what if we had DeJounte, and especially if DeJounte just starts balling out for the rest of the season for Atlanta, that's going to make it even worse. That's the way it goes with LA. It's just the way it goes, man. I mean, that's what you get when you come to LA. I mean, if it's not the Charlotte Hornets, it's not the Atlanta Hawks. It's the Los Angeles Lakers. They got 17 titles. Now, LeBron's future. Me personally, I think he's got one foot out the door, and I think he has probably for about a year now. And he's just kind of like, you know what? I love LA. My family's here. My family's happy. My kids at USC. I have a lot of stake in this town. I make a lot of money in this town. The team makes a lot of money off of me. I have a lot to benefit from this, from staying here. But at the same time, he must, in the back of his head, he's got to be thinking of the whole GOAT conversation with Jordan, and how he's still 2 titles behind. And I mean, some people think arguably that he gets one more title and that's it. That's a wrap, even though Jordan has 6 and is undefeated in the finals. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. I mean, it's a debate. It's an opinion. It's not fact. But that could be what he's thinking. And then, all this talk about New York, who is kind of set up to win right now. And they made a bitchin' move with Anunoby, even though I think just got an alert not that long ago that he's going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks because of an injury or something. So that's not great for New York. And I think Julius Randle's still on the mend. But Jalen Brunson's balling. I mean, he's arguably a MVP candidate, even though he's not in the same tier as like, Giannis or Jokic or Luka or whatever. I mean, he's doing well, and he has that team playing competitive basketball. I'm trying to not lose my train of thought here. I've never talked like this consistently without, a guest or like, bouncing off one of the other guys on a podcast. So that's what I was telling Trevor. I was like, this is going to be tough, talking for this long and then not lose my train of thought like I'm doing right now. Anyway, I think he's definitely looking around the league. I think he's definitely like, where can I go? Who's got the money to pay for me? Who can absorb what I'm going to be asking, even though, money's no object to that guy now. He's a billionaire, literally. I mean, he'd play on the minimum and he'd still probably make $50 million off the court.
Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. See ebaymotors.com.
If not way more in 1 year. So I don't think money's an issue. I think it's more of fit and potential to win. I mean, he wants to win. Well, at least that's what he's been telling us. So New York's probably an option. I mean, maybe even going back to Cleveland. I mean, there's the whole thing with Donovan Mitchell. Like maybe that's some kind of swap that goes on, who knows? I mean, Miami, I think there's some talk there. Like Miami's monitoring Bronny, which to be honest isn't much to monitor right now. The kid came in. I mean, he dealt with all the health issue, and that was terrible. But he hasn't played well at SC. I mean, not to the point where he's really grabbing any attention of NBA teams. I've even heard that he's dropping out of mock drafts completely. So like he might not even get drafted. I mean, people forget there's only 2 rounds in the NBA, right? And then you could sign like say Austin Reeves or whatever, but Austin Reeves showed potential. I don't think Bronny's really showed as much as people thought he would. But then again, if you have the pull of bringing a superstar and an instant, revenue churning athlete, that's going to draw some interest. So maybe that's what Miami's thinking. And LeBron's already beloved in Miami, even though he kind of left them my intro. I'm sure. I mean, even if you went back to Cleveland, he'd be totally embraced. So this summer it's going to be insane. It's going to be one of the, I think, most nerve-wracking summers for Lakers fans, because I think there's all sorts of scenarios and things that could go right and things that could go terribly wrong. I mean, it could go easily from championship expectations every year to back to square one, right? Where, LeBron's out, he bails, AD asks for a trade right after, and you're just like back to Palanca, getting a bunch of draft picks and possibly a player here, player there, but nobody like enough to really get you in contention. And I think the bad part about it is it's the West is so damn good. Like it's just, there's so many teams. Even the mid-tier teams are damn good. Like Phoenix is coming on strong. They made some solid moves today. They're going to be better. I mean, you got Golden State dropping off. They're not coming back up. And even if they do, they're a first-round exit for sure, in my opinion. You got Denver, you got Minnesota, you got OKC, who is a bunch of studs. And they're all young. They're all young teams, so they're going to be around for a long time. And the Clippers, this could be the Clippers' year. I'm right above the garage. Forget about that. There's going to be all sorts of noises, unfortunately. Part of the trial and error. But if I were a betting man, I would say he's opting out. But I really don't know if he's staying or going. I think he could. I think it's a coin flip. I think it's 50-50. He could stay. He could go. It's just, I mean, if I were him, I'd be looking at it and be like, how can I win here? We don't have the assets. We don't have, to bring in a big name. I mean, there's Mitchell being floated out there, but the sad part is all these other teams that are coming up, like New York, have been compiling picks for years, right? They have way more assets than the Lakers do. So as the Lakers go all in on AD with the hopes of competing for 5 years, right? That window's closed. It's done after this year. Possibly one more year. Possibly. But even then, it could be the same damn thing again. It could be 500 basketball and with a hope of going on a run in the playoffs. But then you're going to hit a juggernaut. You're going to hit these teams that have been kicking ass all season long, like the Clippers or the Nuggets or like Minnesota. Okay. So, I mean, there's just it's a scary thought. I mean, the Lakers are going to have to get through 3 great teams just to get to the damn finals, and then when they get there, there's Boston waiting for them, or Philly, or New York, or Milwaukee. Like it just seems like a lot. I mean, it'd be a hell of a story. I mean, last year was incredible. It was fun to watch. I was saying the other day that it's some of the funnest basketball I had watched, Lakers basketball, in a long time. It was entertaining. They were in games. They were motivated, blah, blah, blah. But then they get killed by a team that's just ready-made for a title, and they were. And then they proved it when they kicked Miami's ass in the finals too, So, man, that's a mouthful. But it is a wait-and-see situation. It's hard to be optimistic about it, because if I was in LeBron's shoes, I'd definitely be thinking about it. Where am I going? What am I doing? My window of opportunity is very small. I still want to play with Bronny, but I mean, if Bronny gets drafted, it's probably not going to be to a great team, or maybe it will be. Maybe it'll be the very end of the first round, or the second round, and he goes, somewhere super intriguing for LeBron. But then they got to clear cap space and they got to make sure there's room. It's just so many things that have to go right for both the Lakers and LeBron in order to get what they want. So it's just tough. It'll be interesting though. It'll be fun. It'll be a fun ride. But hopefully it ends, with the Lakers still, being competitive for the next 5 to 10 years. But who knows? Who knows? And we come to the buyout candidates, which is the only thing the Lakers can really do to improve. Shall I talk louder with the garage closing? Anyway, so Dinwiddie got traded today again. And then the Raptors promptly are working on a buyout, apparently. So he's an LA guy. He's been linked with the Lakers plenty of times before. I wouldn't be shocked if he is the guy that they go after and they get. There's obviously, he's still a talented guy. He can spread the floor. He can, give you 20 points on any given night off the bench. And even as a starter for some teams. But I think if he came to LA, he'd be a bench guy. But he'd give you just way more firepower, maybe more consistent firepower and more of a threat from deep. So I think he's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, yeah, your options are limited. This is all you're going to get at this point. So you got to do it. And then there's Marcus Morris is another guy. But I'm not so crazy about him because I think he's kind of washed. I think both twins are at this point. So I would say he's a last resort kind of guy. But then again, once the fallout of the trade deadline goes and, the next couple of days, there's going to be guys getting bought out. There's going to be, moves made, guys that are requesting to go to leave. Like PJ Tucker was a big one that people were talking about, even though he doesn't really move the needle for many people anymore. But then he changed his mind. Apparently, I guess he wanted out. He said he wanted out. And then when he was given the opportunity, it didn't happen. He didn't want to do it. So maybe he realized there wasn't much of a market for him. But we'll see. I mean, these things develop. They change over time. So, but I would say once Dinwiddie becomes available, whenever that is, whenever he clears, or gets that buyout with Toronto, I'm sure the Lakers will be right there, ready and waiting. But I'm sure he's going to have plenty of suitors. Like, guys, he's an attractive asset for any team that's trying to win. So we'll see. But I would say he's their best bet right now. The only problem is you don't sign Dinwiddie and all of a sudden Lakers championship contenders. They just get better. They just a little bit better. I mean, they're just a 500 team right now, basically, even though I think they're 2 games above 500 as of this moment. And they play Denver tonight. So whenever this gets aired, it's before the Denver game, before the Kobe statue ceremony, which is another thing I'd like to talk about. The one thing I've been wondering, and I keep waiting for an announcement, is what the statue is going to look like. My ideal statue is him walking off the floor, 81-point game, with his finger to the ceiling at Staples. I always call it Staples. And he's got 8 on the front and 24 on the back. And I know they said that they were going to Gigi was going to be part of the statue too, or some part of the tribute. But I don't know how she would fit. But I don't make statues. I don't do that kind of creative process. So I am curious. I just hope they don't ruin it. I mean, he's got so many iconic things like the jersey pool, this after Phoenix, which I think D'Angelo Russell said that's what he would want to see. There's just so many things. Him jumping on the stage after winning a title with his arms spread like this, and the confetti falling down. The only thing I don't like about that is he's wearing the championship hat. I think that would look kind of weird on a statue. Maybe they just take it off for that. But then I don't know. It would always be one of those things that it would bug me. But that's me. But I definitely would say the 181, because I mean nobody's done it outside of Wilt, right? I mean, I think people are getting a lot closer with Luka scoring 73 the other day. I mean, it's probably not going to stand for much longer. 82 being the second highest scoring total ever, but I still think that's the most iconic thing he ever did. 5 titles aside, all the defensive teams aside, being teammates with Shaq and Powell aside, that's a hell of an individual achievement. I always thought that was super cool. And when I was watching Luka play the other day, I was kind of rooting against him. I was hoping that Atlanta would actually play defense, because I think it's just a cool thing. It's a memorable moment that has stood the test of time. What was that, 2006? It's a long time for that to stand, especially with offense only getting, or like the rules going against playing defense or playing better defense. So it's all about offense now. And, you get in point totals where it's 150, for one team is not crazy. It's kind of the norm. Or it's, nobody goes, oh my God, these two teams combined for 300 points yesterday. It's like, okay, it's no big deal anymore. So that said, I mean, somebody's going to do it eventually. It just feels soon. But anyway, coming up on my time here, so we're 25 and a half minutes in here. I think I'm supposed to do 20 to 30 minutes. Like I said, this is all experimental. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. This is all me trying to figure out how to get into this medium, because this is where everything's going. It's all about video and podcasts and stuff. And I always, admired what Trevor did for us, and what maybe not popular opinion because he's a Celtics fan, but what Bill Simmons does, I think his network of podcasts is awesome. It always entertains me on long drives and stuff. So, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. And I'm aiming to get players and coaches and guests and my buddies on here, chopping it up. I'd like to take a little funny kind of edgy twist, because I just don't want to be the average podcast, which this might be, this first one, but hey, it's the first one. Gotta give me a break. And crazy dogs in the background. Anyway, so I gotta go. I gotta get packing for Mexico, but I will be back. I'm looking forward to getting in this and seeing where the Lakers go this year. All right. Peace.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.
When you're listening to a true crime story that has an unbelievable plot twist that makes you stop in your tracks? That's what our podcast, People Are the Worst, brings you with each episode. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Rebecca. We're identical twins who love true crime cases that make you say, didn't see that coming, and we hate the people responsible for them. Listen to People Are the Worst now on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.